Do you know what the biggest enemy of your success is? It's comfort. It's staying where you are because it feels safe. But here's the harsh truth. Nothing great ever comes from comfort zones. I'm going to challenge you today to stop waiting for success to fall into your lap. You must force yourself to level up. But what does that really mean? You can't change anything in your life until you first recognize that something needs to change. You've heard the saying, if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten, right? Well, let's be honest, for many of us, that's exactly the situation. We're stuck in a loop of familiarity. We go through the motions day after day, hoping that somehow things will magically improve. But let me ask you, have you ever stopped and taken a hard look at your life? Are you really where you want to be, or are you living in a state of quiet frustration, knowing that you're meant for something more? When I was younger, I was in that exact position. I had a job I didn't love. I was living in a routine that felt like I was just getting by. And I had dreams that seemed so far out of reach. I thought, this is just how life is, right? But deep down, something kept gnawing at me. There was this voice in my head that kept saying, there's more for you. You're capable of more. It was that voice that eventually woke me up. I realized that I was the one holding myself back. I was stuck because I hadn't made the decision to force change in my life. Recognizing the need for change is the first step toward transformation. It's like standing in front of a locked door. For a long time, I didn't even realize the door was locked. I thought that this was just the way things were, that there was no way out, that I had to accept the hand I had been dealt. But once you realize that you're not where you're supposed to be, once you acknowledge that there's more for you, that's when the door to your future starts opening. It's not just about acknowledging that change is needed, it's about deciding to do something about it. Here's the thing, recognition alone won't change your life. You can recognize that something needs to change all day long, but without the decision to act, nothing will happen. It's about the commitment to say, I'm not staying here anymore. I refuse to live another day the same way. But that first step to recognition is critical. It's when you look at your situation, whether it's your health, your finances, your relationships, and ask yourself, am I truly satisfied with where I am? Is this where I want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? When you stop accepting mediocrity as normal, when you stop letting the days pass by without actively shaping your future, that's when the magic starts to happen. Change starts with awareness. It starts with taking an honest, sometimes painful look at your life and saying, this is not it. This is not enough. I am capable of more. It's from this place of dissatisfaction, this recognition of what's missing, that you begin to step into the next level of who you're meant to be. And when you make that decision, when you choose to level up, you unlock the ability to take your life in a completely new direction. So the question is, are you ready to admit to yourself that change is not only possible, but necessary? Are you willing to see where you are and boldly declare that you will no longer accept anything less than the life you're meant to live? This is where it starts, with recognizing that something needs to change. The moment you make that realization is the moment everything can shift. Comfort is the most dangerous trap you can fall into. It feels safe, doesn't it? It feels like you're in control, like things are manageable, predictable, and stable. But that comfort, that so-called security, is the very thing that's keeping you from becoming who you're meant to be. When you're comfortable, you're not growing, you're not challenging yourself. You're just maintaining, existing, floating through life, but not truly living. I'll be real with you. There was a time in my life when I was perfectly comfortable. I had a job that paid the bills, a routine that I followed every day, and no real complaints. Everything was fine, but it wasn't great. And deep down, I knew something was off. But here's the thing. I had grown accustomed to my comfort. I told myself that things were good enough. I told myself that this was just the way life was supposed to be. But the problem with that mindset is that it's built on fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of failure. Fear of stepping out and doing something different. I was stuck in a cycle of mediocrity, unwilling to take that next step because I was comfortable where I was. You know how it feels, right? That voice in your head that says, it's okay You're doing fine. Don't rock the boat. But every time I listened to that voice, I was slowly killing my potential. I was settling for a version of myself that was just good enough, not realizing that I was denying myself the chance to be extraordinary. The truth is, comfort keeps you small. It prevents you from expanding, from learning, from becoming the person who can handle greater challenges, bigger responsibilities, and more significant achievements. Comfort is like a straitjacket. It constricts your growth, and it keeps you bound to a life of limited possibilities. Think about it. When was the last time you did something uncomfortable? When was the last time you did something that made your heart race, made your palms sweat, and made you feel truly alive? If you can't remember, that's the problem. You have to push against that comfort zone. If you're not feeling some level of discomfort in your life, it means you're not growing. Think of growth like a muscle. The only way to build muscle is through resistance. You have to work against something to build strength. If you keep doing things that feel comfortable, if you keep avoiding resistance, you'll never develop the strength needed to level up. One of the hardest things I had to learn was that growth isn't supposed to feel easy. It's supposed to feel challenging. It's supposed to stretch you, to force you to confront your weaknesses, to get you to rise to a higher level. And yet so many people stay stuck because they mistake comfort for stability. But there's no stability in stagnation. If you're not growing, you're shrinking. If you're not challenging yourself, you're becoming complacent. And complacency is the silent killer of your dreams. You have to embrace discomfort. You have to actively seek it out. And when you find it, don't run from it. Don't shy away from the hard stuff. Don't avoid the difficult conversations, the risky decisions, the things that scare you. Instead, lean into them, because it's only through discomfort that you'll develop the skills, the character, and the resilience needed to succeed at the highest level. And that discomfort will ultimately become your greatest source of power. So stop letting comfort dictate your life. Stop settling for good enough. Don't let fear of change or failure hold you back. Challenge yourself to break free from the comfortable, safe little box you've been living in and step into the unknown. That's where the magic happens. That's where you'll find the growth you're looking for. And that's where you'll discover who you really are, who you were meant to be, and what you're truly capable of achieving. Discipline is often seen as the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's not the most glamorous thing, and it doesn't always feel good in the moment, but discipline is the real secret to success. It's the difference between fleeting motivation and lasting achievement. Think about it. Motivation is like a spark. It's bright, it's intense, and it's exciting. But if you don't have discipline to keep the fire going, that spark will burn out faster than you can say goal setting. That's why people who rely solely on motivation tend to fail. They're waiting for the spark, but they don't have the fire to sustain it. I've been there, waiting for that sudden burst of energy or that burst of inspiration to get me going. But the truth is, inspiration doesn't strike every day. And when it doesn't, what do? You stop moving toward your goals? Do you put everything on hold and wait for the right moment to feel inspired? Or do you push forward because discipline has become a habit, a way of life that keeps you moving even when you don't feel like it? I've learned that it's not about how you feel in the moment. It's about doing the things you know need to be done, regardless of how motivated or excited you are. It's about waking up every day and committing to your goals even when you're tired, even when you're discouraged, and even when things aren't going your way, because discipline is about consistency. It's the ability to do what needs to be done day in and day out, even when there's no immediate reward. It's about making the right choices over and over again until the results begin to show. In my own life, I've had to develop discipline in a lot of different areas. There were times when I didn't feel like showing up for work, when I was frustrated with my progress, when the path forward seemed unclear. But here's what I realized. Those days when I felt like quitting, those were the days that mattered most. That's when discipline kicked in and carried me through the toughest moments. It was those days of small, consistent actions, even when they didn't feel significant, that led to the bigger breakthroughs. It's like building a muscle. You don't get stronger by lifting one heavy weight once. You get stronger by consistently showing up and lifting weights day after day. Similarly, discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the stronger it gets, the easier it becomes to push through the hard times. But I'm not going to lie to you. Discipline requires sacrifice. It requires saying no to the things that don't align with your goals. It means sacrificing short-term pleasures for long-term gains. It means turning down distractions, ignoring the noise, and staying focused on what truly matters. And it's not always easy. There are days when the temptation to give in to laziness, to procrastinate, to waste time will be strong, but you have to fight it. Because that's what separates those who reach their goals from those who don't. It's not luck, it's not talent, it's discipline. Here's the kicker. Discipline isn't something you either have or don't have. It's a choice you make every single day. It's about deciding that your goals are more important than your temporary comfort, more important than the easy way out. And that decision is what sets successful people apart from those who are just coasting along. It's the people who wake up every day and say, I'm going to do what I need to do, whether I feel like it or not, that make it. Let's talk about the small wins, those small, seemingly insignificant tasks that you do every day, whether it's working for 30 minutes on a project, exercising for 20 minutes, reading a chapter of a book, or just organizing your thoughts. Those small acts of discipline are what compound over time into massive results. Discipline compounds. When you show up every day and do the hard work, even when no one's looking, those small acts accumulate, and eventually they lead to big results. The challenge for many people is that they expect to see instant results. They think that if they're working hard, they should see success immediately. But success isn't instant. It's gradual. It's the result of doing the right things over and over again, even when you don't see immediate feedback. Discipline is the key to consistent progress. And consistent progress is what leads to success. Every small step you take today, even if it doesn't seem important in the moment, is one step closer to where you want to be. If you want to level up in any area of your life, you have to embrace the daily grind. You have to force yourself to show up even when the excitement fades and the road gets tough. Because true success isn't about peaks of intensity, it's about sustaining that intensity every single day through the highs and the lows. When you can master that, when you can develop the discipline to consistently move forward regardless of circumstances, that's when you'll start seeing the results you've always wanted. Discipline is the backbone of every success story. It's the quiet, persistent force that moves you forward even when the world feels like it's standing still. So if you want to achieve something extraordinary, don't just rely on motivation, rely on discipline. Because discipline is what separates those who dream from those who do. Fear and doubt are powerful forces. They can creep into your mind when you least expect it, clouding your judgment and making you question everything you've ever believed about yourself. It's easy to let fear take control. It's natural, almost instinctive, to fear failure, to fear rejection, to fear what others think of you. And then doubt steps in, whispering that maybe you're not good enough, maybe you don't deserve the success you dream about, maybe you'll never get there. But here's the truth. Fear and doubt are just lies your mind tells you to keep you comfortable. I've had my fair share of moments where fear and doubt tried to take over. There were times when I wanted to step out and pursue something big, but my mind was filled with what ifs. What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I'm not cut out for this? Those thoughts would paralyze me, causing me to second guess myself and hesitate when I should have been moving forward. I remember one of the first big opportunities I had to speak in front of a large audience. My stomach was in knots, my hands were shaking, and I thought to myself, what if I screw up? But here's the thing about fear. It's always louder in the head than it is in reality. The fear you feel before you act is always magnified. It's that voice in your mind that tells you you're not ready, that you're not prepared, that you can't handle the challenge, and while that voice feels real in the moment, it's just a survival mechanism. It's not the truth. Fear is a reaction, not a reflection of your ability. I had to learn, sometimes the hard way, that the key to overcoming fear is taking action. When fear tries to keep you stuck, when it convinces you that you're not ready, the best thing you can do is step forward anyway. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to feel confident right away, but you need to act. Fear thrives in hesitation. It feeds on your uncertainty. But when you take that first step, when you push through the fear and commit to the process, something incredible happens. The fear starts to shrink. The doubt starts to fade. And you begin to realize that you were never as afraid as you thought you were. You were simply facing the unknown. And once you took the leap, you saw that it wasn't nearly as scary as you had imagined. And here's another truth. Doubt is not your enemy. It's a sign that you're on the edge of something new, something big, something that's going to stretch you. The doubt you feel is just your mind telling you this is uncharted territory and you're about to grow. It's normal to doubt yourself when you're pushing beyond your limits. It's normal to feel uncertain when you're taking on something bigger than you've ever done before. That's how growth happens. It's the discomfort of stretching yourself into the unknown. I'll tell you something else I learned along the way. Every successful person has felt fear and doubt at some point. It's part of the process. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is how they respond to it. Successful people don't wait for the fear to disappear. They don't wait for the perfect moment when they feel 100% confident. They take action in the face of fear. They acknowledge the doubt, but move forward anyway. They trust in their ability to figure things out along the way, and they let the momentum of their actions push them past the fear. And when you start pushing through fear and doubt, you'll see something amazing. The more you do it, the less power those emotions have over you. The first time you face fear head on, it might feel like a mountain, but by the 10th, 50th, or 100th time, you'll look back and laugh at how big it seemed. What once paralyzed you will no longer have a hold on you. You'll start to realize that the more you lean into fear, the less it controls you. It's also important to understand that fear doesn't just come from within. Sometimes fear and doubt come from external sources. The voices of other people. People will try to project their own fears and limitations onto you. They'll tell you that your dreams are unrealistic, that you should play it safe, that you're being too ambitious. But here's what you have to remember. Their fear is not your fear. Don't let other people's doubts dictate your actions. You have the power to shape your future, not them. The only way to conquer fear and doubt is through action, through proving to yourself that you can handle the challenges, that you can rise above the uncertainty, and that you can do what you set out to do. It's about making the decision to keep going even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it feels like the odds are against you. Fear and doubt will always be there, but so will you. And every time you push through them, you'll realize that they were never as powerful as you thought. Fear is not your enemy. It's just an obstacle to be overcome. The more you confront it, the more you realize that it's nothing more than a barrier to your success. When you take action, when you refuse to let fear and doubt control you, you'll discover that the life you want, the success you dream about, is within your reach. Your mindset is everything. It's the lens through which you see the world, and it's the engine that drives your action. It's the difference between those who succeed and those who don't. Let me tell you something. Success starts in your mind. Before you can achieve anything in life, you first have to believe that it's possible. If you don't believe you can achieve something, if you don't believe you deserve success, then you will unconsciously sabotage your own efforts. I've seen it in my own life. There were times when I wanted to give up, when the obstacle seemed too big, when the road ahead was unclear. And in those moments, I realized it wasn't the circumstances that were holding me back. It wasn't external forces. It was my own thoughts and beliefs that were keeping me stuck. My mindset was limiting me. And I had to change that. I had to realize that the way I think about myself, about the world, and about my future was determining my results. It's like this. If you believe you're capable of achieving your dreams, your actions will reflect that belief. You'll take the necessary risks, put in the work, and persevere when things get tough. But if you believe that you're not worthy of success or that success is reserved for others, you'll never take the right steps. You'll remain trapped in a cycle of doubt and fear. The way you think influences everything you do. It shapes your decisions, your habits, and your actions. Your mindset is either lifting you up or holding you back. A growth mindset, the belief that you can learn, grow, and improve, is what will propel you forward. If you see challenges as opportunities, if you embrace failure as part of the learning process, then you're on the path to success. On the other hand, if you have a fixed mindset, the belief that your abilities are limited and cannot be changed, then you'll be stuck. You'll avoid challenges, shy away from feedback, and ultimately, you'll stop growing. I had to shift my own mindset from one of limitation to one of possibility. I remember thinking, I'm not good enough for this, or I don't have what it takes to succeed in this industry. But when I realized that those thoughts were simply stories I was telling myself, stories based on fear, based on past experiences, based on beliefs that weren't true, I was able to break free. I began to tell myself a new story. I started to affirm that I had everything within me to succeed, that the challenges I faced were not roadblocks, but stepping stones to greater things. Now, I'll be honest with you, changing your mindset isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process, and it requires consistent effort. But every time you catch yourself thinking negatively or doubting yourself, you have the power to replace that thought with something more empowering. Every time you tell yourself, I can't, you have the opportunity to challenge that thought with I can. You don't have to be perfect at it, but you need to be intentional about it. The key is to become aware of your thoughts and beliefs. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself. Are you encouraging yourself, or are you holding yourself back with negative self-talk? If you're constantly telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not worthy of success, or you're too old, too young, too inexperienced, you're reinforcing those beliefs. You're programming your mind to believe that success is out of reach, that it's for other people, not you. But the reality is, success is available to anyone who chooses to believe in themselves and take consistent action toward their goals. When you shift your mindset from I can't to I can, your actions will begin to change. You'll start seeking out opportunities instead of avoiding them. You'll take calculated risk. You'll push through the setbacks instead of giving up. You'll get up after every failure, knowing that failure is just part of the process. Your mindset will fuel your determination. I want you to understand that the people who are succeeding aren't necessarily more talented or more fortunate than you. What they have is a mindset that empowers them to keep going, to keep striving, even when the odds are stacked against them. They've learned to master their thoughts, to choose empowering beliefs, and to focus on what's possible, not on what's lacking. One of the most important things I've learned on my journey is that the thoughts you think today will shape your reality tomorrow. Your mindset will determine the decisions you make, the risks you take, and the habits you develop. It will guide you through the ups and downs, and it will either help you rise or hold you down. If you want to level up, if you want to reach your highest potential, it starts by mastering your mind. It starts by believing that you are worthy of success, that your dreams are possible, and that you have the power to create the life you want. And when you make that decision, when you choose to believe in yourself and take action in alignment with that belief, you'll see the transformation unfold before you. Because success isn't just about hard work and talent. It's about the mindset you bring to every situation. And when you master your mindset, you master your future. Success is not an overnight event. It is a marathon, not a sprint. Many people get discouraged because they're looking for immediate results, but the reality is that long-term success requires consistent, focused effort over time. Too often, people give up just before they hit their breakthrough. They stop just when they're on the cusp of something great because they don't see the progress they expected to see in a short amount of time. But the truth is, success takes time. It's about the long game. You have to commit to the process. You have to commit to growth, even when it feels slow, even when it feels hard. And here's where the real work happens. When you're doing the work, when you're putting in the hours, even when no one is watching, even when you're not seeing the results right away, this is where growth occurs. It's in the small everyday decisions to show up. It's in the habit of doing the work even when you don't feel like. That's how you build the momentum that eventually leads to success. I remember when I first started my journey, I wasn't seeing the results I wanted right away. I had this grand vision, this big dream, but progress was slow. It was discouraging. There were days when I questioned whether it was all worth it. I had doubts. I felt like giving up at times. But one thing I knew for sure, if I quit, I would never see the results I was working so hard for. So I kept going. I kept pushing through the tough times. I kept showing up even when the road was rough. And over time, the results started to come. It didn't happen in a week, a month, or even a year. But when I look back now, I can see the progress, and I can see how every single day of consistent effort contributed to my success. Here's the key. You cannot expect long-term success without making long-term commitments. You can't expect to plant a seed today and harvest the fruits of your labor tomorrow. There is a process, and that process takes time. There will be setbacks, there will be challenges, but the key is to never stop learning and growing. Every failure is an opportunity to learn. Every obstacle is a chance to grow stronger. It's all part of the journey. Now, I understand that in today's world, we've been conditioned to expect instant gratification. We want the result without the work. But when you build your foundation on a strong, long-term commitment to growth, the success will follow. It may not happen immediately, but when it does, it will be lasting. Think about it like this. When you commit to long-term growth, you're developing the resilience and the mindset needed to handle bigger challenges. You're growing not only in your skill set, but also in your character. Over time, this builds the kind of strength that will carry you through any obstacle. You'll face setbacks, but instead of being knocked down, you'll bounce back stronger. You'll have the wisdom, the experience, and the confidence to overcome anything that stands in your way. Another important aspect of committing to long-term growth is learning how to enjoy the process. The process isn't always easy, and there will be times when you feel frustrated or overwhelmed. But you need to shift your mindset from thinking of growth as a painful necessity to seeing it as a rewarding journey. When you enjoy the process, you make the journey itself more fulfilling, and this is what will keep you going even when the results aren't immediate. If you focus only on the outcome, you'll miss the lessons and the personal growth that come with the hard work. The success you're after will be much sweeter when you embrace the journey and stay focused on the growth you're experiencing along the way. When you commit to long-term growth, you start seeing obstacles not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for learning. It's like lifting weights at the gym. If you don't lift heavy weights, your muscles won't grow. The resistance is what builds strength. The same is true in life. The resistance, the challenges, and the obstacles you face along the way are the things that will ultimately make you stronger. Without those challenges, you wouldn't grow into the person capable of handling the level of success you're striving for. Think about your goals, your dreams. If you're going to achieve them, you have to commit to being the person who is worthy of those goals. You have to become the person who is equipped to handle that success. And that requires constant growth and evolution. Success isn't something that's handed to you. It's something you build over time through dedication and perseverance. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is that they get distracted by short-term results. They chase the next quick win, the next shortcut. They're looking for the easy way out, and they're missing out on the real work, the deep transformational work that takes time and consistent effort. If you want to be truly successful, you have to commit to the long-term process. Stay the course. The results will come, and when they do, they will be so much more fulfilling because they're the result of your dedication, your persistence, and your willingness to push through the hard times. When you stop looking for shortcuts and instead commit to becoming the best version of yourself, the growth you experience will far exceed your expectations. You'll look back on the journey and realize that every single step you took was a necessary part of your transformation. That's how true success is built, not from quick wins, but from consistent, long-term effort. And when you commit to that, when you commit to growing every single day, you will realize that there's nothing you can't achieve. The power is in your hands, and the only thing standing between you and your success is your commitment to the process.